Let me use this opportunity to welcome you, my brothers and sisters, wherever you are. It's a pleasant evening here in our studios. A great opportunity that we can have the time to engage, to be able to talk about relevant and crucial issues that has befalling our land, the nation state of Liberia, and these are quite critical and challenging times for all of us. Uh, those of us who believe in the rule of law, those of us who believe in equity, those of us who believe in social justice, those of us who believe Liberia belongs to each and everyone, all of us, people of heritage, those of African descent, those who ancestors uh, migrated or immigrated to this nation many years ago. Even those who have heard the stories of the freedom fry, those who believe in equity and justice and equality. And I think we are at a pivotal stage in the history of our land, at a pivotal stage where we as a people can have an opportunity to be able to clearly delineate what is prevailing in the land, what is prevailing in the country, the African state of Liberia. Let me welcome you wherever you are, brothers and sisters, those of you who are watching us. We're coming to you from Western Pennsylvania. This is the radio service of the Christian Vision Broadcasting Network. Quite an interesting time in the history of the people of Liberia, and I fundamentally believe that it is important, and this is why we decided to come here today to have the opportunity to talk and to be able to engage. You know how challenging and how difficult it is to be able to get a guest. Our hope and our prayer is that our guests could be able to join us, but we're finding it quite difficult and challenging on this Friday to have the opportunity to engage. I want to use the opportunity in the first place to welcome all of you, wherever you are, this wonderful day, and hoping and praying that wherever you are indeed having a great time being with us. This is truly the day that God has made, and we see it as an opportunity to be able to come here to talk to you, and that to be able to bring some clarity. By the way, our guests should have been here on the Council of Verdict, but you know how challenges are as to where we find ourselves, especially for lawyers, and as engaging as he is, as renowned as he is, moving from one end to another, trying to establish contact with the counselor to be with us this evening. We are hoping that he would join us momentarily. But in the meantime, I thought it is important to be able to speak on a couple of subject matters. The issue of the state of good governance in Liberia, justice system, and the issue of human rights. There is a considerable lot that is taking place, even as we sit here in Liberia. And the key question for some of us who are now on the pundits, but those of us who are critical voices, those of us who believe that Liberia as a nation state must abide, must uphold the rule of law, ensuring that there is sanity, that people of Liberia can have an opportunity to live in decency uh, and not live in fear. And this is why I think it's quite important that we can be here today to engage and talk and to deeply dive into some of the issues that we are encountering at the moment. One of the major issues right now on hand happens to be the issue regarding the brutal, brutal, I want to say that in earnest, the brutal killing of the daughter of the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, former chair of the Elections Commission, and also a one-time senator within the state. Someone with such a reputation, a credible reputation, should be giving in keeping with the legal system in the country. Keeping in mind she has had several key positions, and there are three branches of government within Liberia. And I want to make the case that if uh, one or two of the branches of government are giving that particular protection for someone who has served in so many capacities in the Republic, such due courtesy should have been granted her. Uh, Not only that, and not only all, but on the whole overall level, when it comes to the question of security, a nation state as Liberia must prove to the world, must prove to its citizenry, the ordinary folks who live in the country. If you have a government that is not able to protect, that is enshrined within the Constitution. The protection of lives and properties is crucial. It's fundamental to every governing system of government. Those are things that we cannot take lightly because when there is security, it produces a considerable lot in terms of the returns, investment, just the state of affairs when there's tranquility in the land. What does that mean? It produces a considerable level of stability throughout the length and breadth of the country. And keeping in mind that we've come from an ugly past, we've come from a period of war, we've come from a period of violence to a state of being considered an emerging democracy. I'm talking about the time of the former administration under Ellen Johnson's leave to see ourselves here where we are when there is a considerable lot to be considered. Would there be security? Is there security? Is there stability? What encourages investment? Those are all issues that we need to put on the table as Liberians to be able to critically examine what is prevailing in the country. So our hope was that this evening we could be able to dissect the state of the good governance in the country, to dissect the state of justice, and to look at some of the basic issues regarding human rights. Now, I want to begin by looking at what is it when it comes to good governance. Have we had, have we gotten involved in those best practices to avoid corruption, the very purpose for which we claim many years ago? I vividly remember I was just a little boy, the 1980 coup, what led to it, what brought about the coup, why those great men, those great individuals who play a pivotal role in the affairs of governance at a time in the country, were put on firing squad. Why? Rampant corruption was the name, nepotism was the name, a government that failed to cater to the needs and the aspirations of the people. Those were those were allegations coming from within the parameters of the Liberian cycle, whether in the local communities, but even those who were the political elites then at the time. I remember, I mean, even going before the coup, 1978, 79, in Monrovia as a very little boy. The demonstrations, the 1979 Rest Riot, and eventually the following year with the coup. I remember Gabriel Bacchus Matthews and others at the time in prison, and came the April 12 coup. These men were, like I indicated earlier, were put on firing squad. It was all aimed at creating, at a time, as we said, at the many in the progressive movement, those Liberians at the time who were far older in the political struggle, whether within the student movement or not. Uh, that was the emphasis. Then William Richard Talbot was assassinated. And since then, we have not had actual stability. Dole came to power, and then we saw considerable level of mayhem, and we saw the war. We saw the violence it created. We saw the environment that was so offensive, denigrating people. The rule of law was completely out of the window. The nation turned into a catastrophic environment. There was witch hunting, tribal settlements set in, and it created a whole awesome dilemma. And as a consequence, within the period of 10 years, I mean, let's say within the period of 5 years, Dole became very unpopular, and that fell apart with the American government and that even the ordinary people, there were considerable killings taking place. The killing fields were open. I vividly remember during the Baku, and all these things have taken place. All in an effort aimed at creating the paradigm through which Liberians can have an opportunity to good governance. Those feel us, and those became unpopular at some point. At some point in time, those became unpopular, and students were always a loggerhead with the administration. Political leaders were being silent, and that it was deja vu all over again. The very so-called liberators became oppressors. And then we saw a popular people's uprising. Since every effort and every attempt from time to time to overthrow or unseat the Doe administration failed, people gravitated to taking the law in their hands. An armed conflict ensued, 1989, December 24th, regarded as the Popular People's Uprising. King Taylor, the national picture at the front, the likes of Prince Johnson, ULIMO K, ULIMO M, and a considerable lots and lots of atrocities against thousands of people during a period of a long time. The nation became ungovernable. President Doe was arrested, assassinated, killed in the wide open with a live camera. We don't know what happened. Many of us know what happened. And many were made refugees. Many fled. Many got killed. Many were displaced. We all know this. We've gone through all of these atrocities. And eventually, the cessation of hostilities emerged in the late 1995, 1996. The formulation of a government of inclusion. That was the very first time some of us learned about a government of inclusion. A model adapted from early in the stages from Yamoussoukro onto the Accra Peace Accord, the Cotonou Accord. We've been through all. Eventually, another war ensued in the early 2000s. And eventually, Taylor was let go. He fled into exile, subsequently arrested and taken to The Hague. Emerged Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the political dispensation, with a clarion call for the holding of free and fair elections in Liberia. 2003, and all the way to 2015, 16, 17. 12 year, 12 year, the 12 years, 2 terms. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was given an opportunity to lead the nation. Everything was broken down, the broken pieces, efforts being made at a time. The international community coming in to give assistance. And then Liberians went to the holding of free, fair, democratic elections in the country. Where are we today? I think that's the moral question. The moral question for some of us is, where is Liberia, the nation state, when these vices are again re-emerging? The failure of good governance, the failure of making the necessary provisions that people can have an opportunity within the democratic system, within the democratic framework. Because no system would operate, a democratic system that would operate, if people cannot have justice. People cannot have an opportunity to go to a court of competent jurisdiction where people will not be judged by the content of their character, rather not judged, if I may quote it right, by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. And Liberia being the Black nation, the Black state, an African state, founded on those very fundamental principles, those very fundamental principles of liberty, justice, inclusivity, equity, that people can have an opportunity to live in peace and human dignity. Pretty tell me how challenging and how difficult it is for Cllr Scott during this particular time. The women of Liberia are demanding for justice and equity. Yesterday, they were in the streets. They had a sit-in at the Capitol building, demanding and requesting for equity, for justice for the daughter of Gloria Musu Scott. That clarion call has been sounded even before yesterday. That clarion call had been sounded even before yesterday, like I said. In the likes of Matthew Ellis, who was involved in circumstantial, mysterious death. The likes of Gifty Lamar, the likes of Emmanuel Bate Yenswa. I'm talking about the auditors, those 3 missing boys. And then we thought to have gotten some clarity if Councillor Varlee would have been here tonight. But we're not giving up. And that we are hoping and praying that an opportunity can be created, that he can be able to appear to give us some clarity on what the state of affairs it is from a legal perspective and on land. I listened to an announcement being made on another talk show early this evening. Women being called to come out into the streets on Tuesday, wherever they are, throughout the length and breadth of the Republic of Liberia. And I indicated quite cleanly that what Liberians need What Liberia needs this point in time is a mass citizens' action. We're not talking about violence, not at all. We're talking about a legal, a constitutional, a non-violent protestation demanding change in the land. And that brings me to the question, the moral question that I would like to raise tonight. What has become of the church? What has become of the faith community, the Muslim brothers and sisters throughout the land? What has become of the Bahats? What has become of those who believe that there is a sovereign God? Those brothers and sisters probably who are not Christians or Muslims, but of the Jewish faith. There's some of you, we know that in Liberia as well. What has become of that moral conscience? The moral conscience that will speak to the fundamental fabric of the nation, for the nation to rise again, to realize that it is a responsibility, a collective responsibility on the part of all of us to genuinely begin to look and critically examine what has become of the land. Lawlessness is not the way to the future. Brutality is not the way to the future. Good governance does not require brutality. This is critical in the land. And for those of us within the diaspora community, the key question then becomes, what can we do in solidarity, in a collective form, to bring about the peace that is absolutely and vitally necessary for the well-being of the people of Liberia? How can we bring about that peace? How can we ensure that the common market woman who's somewhere there in Palala, Bon County, can have an opportunity to live in peace, to live in dignity, to enjoy the fruit of their labor, even the fruit of the labor of their children's children? We cannot have that when there is no sustainable peace. And in the real sense of the word, in reality, Brother Weah and all of his those involved within the leadership in the country must know that the earth and its fullness is the Lord's. And if the unrighteous rule, as indicated within the sacred text, the people will yearn, the people will suffer, the people will cry. And when the righteous rule, a level playing field is created for opportunities, for viability, for Christian hope, that hope that sustains, that hope, the hope that uplifts, the hope that will cater to the needs and the aspirations of the vulnerable, the weak, and the meek. That is where good governance comes from. It is embedded at the very core of what democracy entails. When people can have the possibilities of keeping in mind that even their own government is quite transparent, genuinely transparent, and an opportunity is created for the least of these. I listened to Councillor Gloria Musu Scott today after coming from, I don't know, a couple of hours of interview or engagement with the Liberian National Police. I learned. But I cannot fathom why would the police, realizing the agony and the pain and the suffering that Councillor Gloria Musu Scott is enduring in this particular pivotal time, that a police agency would demand that she reports to the police station 10 o'clock every day. I cannot fathom that. I'm not a legal scholar, but I'm an advocate, and I know what basic rights are, what basic universal rights are. That is not something that we even do within this particular macrocosm of democracy, as we call it, one of the greatest countries in the world, as we sit here. When we talk about freedom of speech and freedom of association, the freedom to say what you want to write or what you want to say. As I am speaking now, as I am talking to you now, in this particular environment, keeping in mind that Liberia, it is a pivotal time in the history of the nation that we cannot gravitate again to lawlessness. We've come too far by faith to see that incompetence in an administration that is aloof, insensitive to the plight of the people, that we can go this low to this level. And we're going to be using our platforms to make sure that we can engage not only with Liberians at home, but also within the diaspora community. To sound this warning, to make this clarion call that the way to the future for Liberia is peace. The way to the future of Liberia is through good governance. The way to the future of Liberia is through justice and equity for all. The way to the future of Liberia is ensuring that the human dignity and the basic rights, those universal rights, the rights to free speech, the right to freedom, the right to association, the right to stand up for what is it that you believe, that right to say we agree, but while at the same time disagreeing to what it is, having those ideological debates and ideological differences, but realizing that Liberia is all that we have. Those are the basic tenets of democracy, that we must do all we can to be able to uphold these tenets, these teachings, these beliefs. These are moral and clarion indications that we must be very, very, very aware of, that in keeping with international principles and those organizations that we associate ourselves with, that Liberia is a signatory, we must begin to collaboratively engage within creating legal frameworks through which we can be able to challenge the status quo that is waging war on our people and creating mayhem in our society. We must be bold, we must be genuine, we must speak truth to power. So this clarion call we make today, we make this clarion call, we challenge the council of churches, the moral leaders within the context of Liberia, those who found themselves within that 42,000 square miles landscape of the land that is given and ordained by God, that they can stand up to speak truth to power, to ensure that even those who are leaders today must understand that there will come a day of reckoning. There will come a day of accountability. There will come a day where the rule of law will be sustained, and those international parameters that we must take into consideration to bring to book or to bring to justice those who are creating mayhem for our people. We want to sound our warning today because it is important that we do. We want to sound our warning today because it is important that those of us who believe in those fundamental rights and the fundamental dignity of the people to live in peace and harmony and do whatever they want to do as Liberians and write whatever they want to write and speak whatever they want to speak because it is guaranteed under the Constitution of the Republic. Liberia is in a state of despair. Liberia is going through a period and a time that we can critically begin to see how the nation is sliding gradually to anarchy. If people with the right minds, if people with considerable Black consciousness, people who know what the truth is, people who understand what it means to govern and to govern within the perspective of those frameworks that are created and guaranteed under the Constitution of the state. This is very important for our people. It is important for all of us, even those of us within the diaspora community, to begin to work together as a collective, not as individuals. We have so much to offer the people. We have so much to give. We have so much that we have invested to ensure that there is peace, that the peace is maintained. And I find it highly ironic when people begin to talk about we must maintain the peace. It appears as though we are at war. This is not sustainable for us, people. This is not sustainable for Liberia. This is not sustainable even for those of our brothers and sisters who have been given the opportunity by the great people of the nation state of Liberia to lead. It's not sustainable. The people of Liberia must live in peace. Cllr Scott, going through this time of pain, Cllr Scott, just imagining the trauma she has endured since the killing of her daughter. That people with the right mind can begin to critically imagine and to realize that whatever affects one affects all. And I was thinking today, just out of the box, I listened to someone asking the question, what has the president said? Has he offered a hand of concern? I thought he was the consoler in chief. I thought the mandate that is giving to a man who is giving the state, he becomes the leader of all. I thought if the situation, as gruesome as it is, as it appears, and as it was reported following the death of Cllr Scott's daughter, if it was in my shoes or in the situation or in an environment as we are within the context of a real fair governing system, a system that has respect for humanity, a system that understands decency, a leader who sees the plight of the people, would have, at this point in time, expressed condolences and concern about what our dear sister Cllr Scott has experienced over the past couple of days. Well, let me use this opportunity on behalf of Refuge Ministries International. We are involved in some activities in Liberia. We are concerned about educating kids. We are concerned about the future of those children, innocent children who haven't had an opportunity to go to decent schools. We want to build schools. We want to build clinics. We want to build hospitals. And we're not doing it because we think we just want to do it for the kids of it. Those are the ones who want to do things for sure, for self-praise. Jesus called them hypocrites. We're not. So we want to make this clarion call today. In the spirit of camaraderie, in the spirit of human decency, we want to use this opportunity to extend our heartfelt condolences to Cllr Scott, Councillor Gloria Musu Scott, and her entire family. Those who are going through the pain of trauma in a time as challenging as it is. We want to use this opportunity to be able to express these brief moments this time to say to Cllr Scott, we got your back. We're concerned about what is happening. And we want to challenge those within the national police system in Liberia to do the right thing, to ensure that the perpetrators are brought to justice, that let this be the end of killings in Liberia. Let this be the end of mysterious disappearances of people, people's children, people's husband, people's sons, people's daughters, mothers, fathers. This is not sustainable. This is not the way to the future for the building of a better nation, a nation that will incorporate all, a nation that enhances and look at the plight of the people, to look deep down and understand that we have one common patrimony. That common patrimony happens to be Liberia. We have to take a stand. We have to speak out. Those within the church community, those who are moral leaders have to speak out. The church has become so complacent, so silent. The church should be the moral conscience of the society. And I challenge those leaders within the Liberia Council of Churches. I challenge the bishop of the Lutheran Church. I challenge the bishop of the Episcopal Church, the bishop of the Methodist Church, our Presbyterian brothers and sisters throughout the land, our Muslim brothers and sisters throughout the land, the imams throughout the land, to speak or forever hold their peace. Liberia is bleeding. Liberia needs peace. Liberia needs security. We can't take it anymore. And to all of the women who are involved in this struggle, I want to admonish you, I want to encourage you that weeping may endure for a night. Oh, the Liberian situation, as terrible as it is, as we see it, may endure for a night. But one thing we know, that the good old Lord promises and teaches us that joy will come in the morning. We believe that. We hold on to that. And we speak nothing else but the truth, and speaking the truth, and it means speaking that not only to those in power, but speaking it to the entire nation, to remind them as to the past, where we've come from, to where we are. And if we cannot lay the rudimentary elements for justice, if we cannot lay those grounds for good governance, if we cannot lay those grounds for human rights and human dignity, then I'm afraid we are going to retrogress. We are retrogressing quite slowly and speedily. It's a sad narrative to see what's happening to the land. So today we come believing through this forum, we come believing to engage with you, to have this conversation. Although we did not have our guests with us today, but we thought it was very important to be able to clearly lay out some of these things that need to be done. You're making Liberia whole again. You renew the spirit and the hearts of our people again. In uplifting that nation from the plight of ignorance and poverty and disease to a land that is strengthened and endowed with wisdom and love. Oh, Liberia needs love. Liberia needs stability. Liberia needs equity. Liberia needs justice. Liberia must have human rights protected for all peoples, irrespective of color, creed, or class, irrespective of whatever status you have within the context of every giving society. Those universal principles teaches and emphasizes that the rights of people must be protected. A government that is for the people and by the people must be a government that caters to the needs and the aspirations of the people. A government that must listen to the cries of the people. A government that must be as transparent and genuinely committed. A government that is not only catering to self, but a government that can look through the eyes of the needy, the eyes of children, mothers, the widow, the displaced, to realize that they and all of us, God sees us in one light. We are all children of the Almighty. We can do better, Liberia. I will close on that note this evening. I want to encourage all of you, all the women of Liberia who are determined to see the change. We are reminded to be the change we envisage. Let's be the change we envisage. Let be the light that we envisage so that we can be able to eliminate all of this darkness and this mayhem that is taking place throughout the length and breadth of the land. Liberia will rise again. Liberia would take her rightful place amongst the committee of nations again. Liberia will be healed. Liberia will be restored again. I believe that. I genuinely, purposefully, religiously believe that. Oh, I genuinely and faithfully believe that. If there is a God, then Liberia will be transformed again. I believe that. And I'll close on that note tonight. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you that you could be a part of this broadcast this evening to have an opportunity as engaging as it is. Although we did not have with us Councillor Varlee tonight, we apologize for that. But it's our hope and prayer. It is my hope and prayer again that soon, very soon, we will have an opportunity to have Councillor Varlee with us again. Soon and very soon, we will have that opportunity to have Councillor Varlee with us. Soon and very soon, we'll have that opportunity to engage in that meaningful conversation. Soon and very soon, we will have some declarative statements coming from the Justice Forum. Soon and very soon, Liberia will be restored. From Western Pennsylvania in the United States, I want to thank you for being a part of this particular edition of our program, the Justice Forum, this Friday edition. My name is Izzy Kwipugi Pata. Thanking you so much for being a part of this particular production. My genuine and sincere apologies to all of you, as we indicated in our announcement. It was our hope that Councillor Varlee could be with us tonight, but apparently, due to some unavoidable circumstances, he could not join us tonight. But remember, like I indicated, Councillor Varlee will be here. He will be here soon. Until we meet again, don't lose hope. Be strong, Liberia. Remain committed to the cause of the freedom struggle. And to the women of Liberia, I say to you, bravo. Keep on the fight for the men. We must be a part of this liberating struggle. We must be a part of the rebuilding of this land. And if there must be justice, there must be equity. And we must build a reconciling nation. Then there must be the rule of law. Take care, brothers and sisters. Have a pleasant good evening.